Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. This is going to be my review of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I'm going to start off with a non-spoiler review, kind of, you know, get into my overall feel of the movie and where I think it ranks among the other Jurassic Park films. And then, right after that, I'll throw up a big spoiler warning, and we'll jump right into every detail of the movie that I either liked or didn't like. So, right off the bat, some backstory. As far as Jurassic World goes, I was a big fan of the original Jurassic World. I thought it captured everything that it needed to capture, you know, for people who were big fans of the original Jurassic Park. You know, everybody wanted to see what it would be like if the park was open, so that movie right off the bat, the park being open, was a big draw for people who loved the original Jurassic Park. I think it was a decent movie. It wasn't the best movie of all time, obviously, but Jurassic World had a lot of stuff going for it. It had a few new dinosaurs that were really cool to see. It had a couple moments of pure terror, honestly. The scene where the woman gets picked up by the pterodactyl and dropped into the pond where I think it's Mosasaurus, I don't know, the big fucking alligator. And you know that's the tank she just got dropped in, and then all of a sudden that thing just scoops up and gets her. Like, oh my god, I was literally like at the edge of my seat, so uncomfortable. I hate the ocean. I hate every animal in the ocean. If I go to the beach, I literally go like knee deep, maybe knee deep at the most, then I'm right back out. So I am terrified of the ocean. So that creature right off the bat was really made me uncomfortable. But yeah, I liked the first movie. I liked Chris Pratt. Obviously, is very likable. Bryce Dallas Howard was all right as his, you know, love interest, but you know, I thought she did a good job. So my overall, I liked the first movie. It made a ton of money, so there was no surprise they were going to make a sequel. So right off the bat, out of the first couple trailers for the Fallen Kingdom, this isn't a spoiler, you can tell that the overall plot of the movie is that the island that these dinosaurs were left on from Jurassic World is going to explode. There's an active volcano that literally weeks from colossal explosion, and the whole world is debating on whether or not they have the right, or whether or not we should save these creatures. You know, these dinosaurs that we created, technically they've already been extinct, so there's a big debate as to whether or not it's our responsibility to ensure that these creatures live on, since we were the ones who made them. Basically, that is the plot of the whole movie. So in doing this, you get Bryce Dallas Howard, who's like a dinosaur activist now, and Chris Pratt's character back on the island to help get some of these animals off in order to preserve them. The movie itself, it goes by very quick, but I feel like it was rushed. Like, a lot of the scenes are very rushed, and honestly, it's just odd choices made by the director. Some of the shots that he chose to do, some of the scenes that made it into the movie are very strange. I don't understand the decision in adding these scenes, or really the benefit. Like, it almost makes, they're almost goofy. The best way I can describe it is this. Anyone who's seen Gremlins 1 and 2, in the original Gremlins, it's campy fun, and, you know, it's just an overall fun, good movie. It's, not good, but it's, you know, it is what it is. And that's how the first Jurassic World was. In the sequel to Gremlins, they just threw every idea they had, and they're like, that works, that works, that works, and none of them worked. And I feel like that's kind of how this movie is. So I didn't enjoy the movie at all, if I'm being honest. I actually am surprised at how much I didn't like the movie, because I give a lot of passes to movies like this because they're just supposed to be fun, and there is fun in the movie, but it's just such odd choices that were made, and I really don't know why the director decided to go the routes he went on some of these shots, and some of the overall. I mean, he didn't write the movie, but whoever was writing this movie, I think Colin Trevorrow was the director of the first one. He might have had a hand in writing this one, but it was odd. It was really the case of like, the first movie being something totally different from the second. It's just odd. It was very odd, and that's just my 2 cents on it, anyways. But I feel like it doesn't fit. It almost feels like a totally different franchise than what you got from any of the previous Jurassic entries, and especially from the last one. But yeah, I didn't like it, and I honestly, I don't think anyone should go out and see this movie. I mean, obviously, if you love the first one, you want to check it out and see what happens in it. But I can't imagine anyone will go and see this movie and actually enjoy themselves. It's pretty terrible. But that's all I can really say in the non-spoilers without getting into the real story. So let's jump right into the spoiler review. So I'll throw a big spoiler warning right up there on the screen for you guys that are watching this. So we're just going to go scene by scene here. The intro to this movie. I actually enjoy the intro to this movie. It shows a group of people trying to collect the bones of the Indominus Rex, which was the genetically modified T-Rex from the last movie. So obviously, for the plot of using it to, to use it to dig into the bone marrow and recreate some hybrid dinosaurs down the line. So that's literally the plot of this movie. That's not the plot, but literally they grab. You see them in a submarine. That's actually how the movie opens, collecting the bones from the bottom of the lagoon where the Mosasaurus lived. Their reasoning for not being concerned about going in there is it's been a long time. No, this animal hasn't been being fed. There's no way that it's alive. Well, it's alive. It's alive. It's living in there somehow. I don't know what it's been eating, but it is alive and well inside the tank. So they find the bones of the Indominus Rex. They cut one of them off, and sure enough, this movie notoriously relied on the use of flashing lights or lightning in order to reveal the dinosaur in the background. In fact, it happened so many times that it took me out of the movie that they did it again. This is one of the many choices that I was surprised by. There are so many scenes in this movie where a flash of light or a flash of lightning will reveal a creature in the background, and then another one will happen, and it's closer. It's such horror movie BS that this movie did not need. But anyways, so they end up getting the bone and sending it via a inflatable device to the top of the lagoon. Helicopter picks it up. But before the sub can get out, they get eaten by the Mosasaurus, so they're dead. The people in the sub are dead. And meanwhile, there's a guy who's responsible on land for shutting the cage, and sure enough, the people in the helicopter are like, "Ooh, come on," because sure enough, flashes of lightning are revealing the goddamn T-Rex in the background, and the guy narrowly escapes the T-Rex, jumps onto the ladder as the helicopter's escaping, only to be devoured by the Mosasaurus, who leaps out of the lagoon to eat him. And the gate is still left wide open, so the Mosasaurus escapes. That's the opening of the movie, and actually, as much as it wasn't awesome, it was one of the better parts of the movie. Then it cuts to the debate of whether or not we need to save these animals. The volcano's going to explode, let's get these animals off the island. So, sure enough, typical rich guy plot, they get Bryce Dallas Howard. They're going to finance her and their team to save these animals and bring them to a sanctuary. But they have a list of the dinosaurs that they capture that they want to bring to save, preserve in their nature preserve. And one of them that they can't seem to get themselves is Blue, who is the raptor that Chris Pratt's character trained and raised in the last movie. So that is the segue for her getting Chris Pratt to come back into this movie. Now, they had some off-screen romance that ended poorly, and it's whatever. It's a terrible subplot. Anyways, so she convinces Chris Pratt to help her go with her to get these animals back. They're on the island for legit 15 minutes. I didn't time it, but it felt very quick. They literally land on the island, go to this technical hub where Bryce Dallas Howard needs to reactivate it with her handprint in order to open up the tracking system on the island so that they can find Blue. Within 5 seconds of that, Chris Pratt's off looking for Blue. They get Blue, and as soon as he's in front of Blue, all these military guys rush in and tranquilize not only Chris Pratt, but Blue herself, who ends up getting a real bullet to her leg in the process. So they end up escaping with Blue, who's now injured, leaving Chris Pratt for dead, tranked on the island. And then, within 10 seconds of that, the goddamn island explodes. The volcano starts erupting, there's lava everywhere, and this gets to one of the worst scenes in any movie I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's Chris Pratt lying there, trying to will his body awake from the tranquilizer that's in him, as lava surrounds him. He literally rolls out of the way of lava, and then, using his legs, goes up and over a log to get out of the way of lava. It was so bad. It doesn't even fit. It doesn't even make sense. Why couldn't you just have him wake up, from being tranked with enough time to see the lava come around him and just run away? It would have worked better. It would have seemed like an actual scene in a movie. It was so goddamn goofy, I couldn't stand it. But that's only the first of... that wasn't even the first of many scenes that were terrible. So from there, there's a big escape from the island that you saw where, all the main characters, or Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt and some other side characters, honestly forgettable. None of the other characters in this movie are memorable in the least, and so I'm not even going to talk about them. But it cuts to the scene you've seen in all the trailers where you see them running from this ash cloud with all these dinosaurs escaping from the jungle at the same time. And yeah, sure, it was an interesting scene. It had its moments of action, but it's just so odd because the first movie had such perfect shots where you really felt like they were hiding from dinosaurs or their escape seemed plausible. But them running away from an ash cloud, and Chris Pratt literally outruns it. That is crazy to me. With all these dinosaurs running around, there's no way he wouldn't have been trampled. And I know it's a fictional movie, and you got to have your main characters make it, but it was so far-fetched. I couldn't believe it. And so this is where you get to see one of the first scenes of Chris Pratt going Jason Bourne, as I would like to call it, because there's a lot of parts in this movie where his character, who was really just a trainer for animals, suddenly has serious combat skills. And maybe I think they might have actually addressed in the first movie that he used to be ex-Navy SEAL, so I guess it kind of makes sense. But that's something I forgot until just now, so honestly, it just took me out of the movie to see him act like this. So he ends up running away from this ash cloud. You've seen it in the trailers. Bryce Dallas Howard and one of her co-workers are trapped in one of those spheres from the first movie, ends up going into the ocean, starts filling with water. Chris Pratt dives in, frees them from it at the last second, just before they run out of air, obviously. And then they swim what seems like 50 feet down, which is odd that he had enough air to come back up, to the surface of the water, where they can just see all these dinosaurs getting hit with lava and falling into the ocean, and it was terrible. It was really bad. From there, they end up going back to finding the boat, where they've been loading up all these dinosaurs, and the guy who was leading the military has an infatuation with ripping dinosaur teeth from their mouth so he can add to his collection of teeth that he has. It seemed like an unnecessary scene until it comes back later, but it was dumb even later. So anyways, they got to get on the boat before it leaves. So they get on the boat, and they drive, and they start sailing away. And one of the only actual emotional scenes in this movie is as they made their escape and get away, you see this one Brachiosaurus walking towards the dock trying to escape. And it actually was pretty sad. It was the saddest part of the whole movie. It was the only part of the movie that had any emotional bearing for me. And it didn't make it. And you see all the lava and smoke around it, and you just see the shadow of it as it's dying. And it was really sad, and you hear it crying. It was the only part of the movie that was at all good. But from there, it cuts to the craziest plot of any movie I've ever seen in my entire life. This is where the movie jumps from a Jurassic Park movie to what I would like to call Resident Evil 1. The billionaire who's been backing this transport of the animals to his sanctuary has actually been swindled by the hotshot guy in charge of all his finances. And this is just like a typical rich guy asshole subplot. And sure enough, he's having these animals shipped directly to the mansion, this gigantic mansion in the middle of California, right on the coast of California, I should say, so that he can sell these animals to the highest bidder. And we're talking like Russians, I don't know, like Russian mob fronts want to buy these animals. You don't know any of the people that buy them, but none of them seem like good people. So they're selling these animals to the highest bidder. The movie literally is set up, it becomes a horror movie at this point. Meanwhile, as this is going on, as they're transporting their way to the island, you find out that the rich guy in charge of all the finances that's been behind the scenes sneakily trying to get all these dinosaurs to the mansion has also reverse engineered, using the help of the Asian scientist from all the other movies, who was a good guy until Jurassic World when you realize he's a bad guy. So he's reverse engineered from the bone of the Indominus Rex another brand new dinosaur, the Indoraptor. The Indoraptor is similar color to it's got like a gray tone to it, but it's total descendant from the Indominus Rex. A little smaller, built more like a raptor than the Indominus Rex was, but it's a much larger raptor. I would say it was probably 20 feet tall. But so this is the part of the movie where it literally just becomes a horror movie. And I say Resident Evil because when everybody's in the mansion and this thing gets loose, it literally feels like scenes from Resident Evil where you're just trying to survive and escape the mansion, and you're in these different galleries and you're in these different bedrooms, and it was crazy. It was balls to the walls crazy. And this is one of the this is what makes me think of the scene with where Chris Pratt all of a sudden becomes Jason Bourne. He busts up the auction and literally takes out 7 armed militarized men like nothing. And it's just his character had no business doing that. He didn't do that in the first movie, and suddenly he's doing it now. But again, I believe in the first movie they did say he had a Navy SEALs background, so I'll give him that now. But even still, it didn't feel right for the character. So the Indominus Rex is trapped in the cage that it was going to be sold in, right? And sure enough, another dinosaur breaks in with the help of Chris Pratt, who's trying to help free these animals. And so he ends up stopping the auction and stopping anyone from shipping off the Indominus Rex. However, later in the movie, or a few minutes after that, the character that was the head of the military on the island shows up and sees the Indominus Rex in a cage. He's curious what the animal is. He's never seen it before, but he wants the tooth. So he ends up shooting it with 2 or 3 tranks, and then the Indominus Rex, the Indoraptor, does its, I swear to God, it was a faint take. Like it had been watching movies and seeing people faint. And all of a sudden, he just collapses back, like so over the top, it's not even funny, pretending to be unconscious. The guy gets into the cage, tries to rip out the raptor tooth, and then one thing leads to another, and he gets mauled by the raptor, and the raptor escapes. It was crazy. It was... The raptor was pretty intimidating, but it was... I don't know, just such an odd choice for the movie for this setting. And sure enough, the rest of the characters for the rest of the movie, their plot is trying to escape the Indoraptor as it's making its way through the mansion trying to kill them. There's this whole subplot where the rich billionaire's grandchild is running around and the raptor's like after her, which is odd because it's like, it makes no sense. But it's more like a monster than it is a dinosaur. Like, it would be off killing more people if it was a real dinosaur, no matter how smart it was. But it's got a thing for this girl, so it's trying to get her. And then there's a subplot to that subplot where the girl isn't actually a real human herself. She's a clone of the rich guy's dead daughter. So, I don't know. I guess that's where the genetic leap has taken. It was horrible. This movie was terrible. I can't even... Honestly, I'm going to end my review here because I couldn't even tell you about the rest of the movie. The animals all escape, the Indoraptor is killed, but it is just so freaking bad. It disgusts me that I saw it. If I didn't have Movie Pass, which is a shameless plug here, and I know Movie Pass might be going under, and I had to pay full price for this movie, I would have wanted my money back. It was that bad. So they set this whole thing up that there's going to be a sequel because now the animals are on this land, are on our home country, or our home turf in California, running the wild, and that's it. And then it cuts to the scene from the trailer with Jeff Goldblum where he says, "Welcome to Jurassic World." Yeah, woo. It was horrible. I give this movie, on a scale of 1 to 5, a 1. It was horrible, and it makes me really not want to see a sequel to it. Everything that was good about the first one gets decimated in this movie. If any of you are planning on going to see it out there, I highly suggest that you go and see something else. Go and see Infinity War again. Go and see Deadpool 2 again. Just don't go and see this movie. Maybe if it doesn't make enough money, no one else will go and see it, and they won't make any more of these. I give it 2 thumbs way down. Anyways, hopefully you guys like this movie, this review. Like and subscribe. Comment below. Let me know if you liked the movie, if you saw the movie, what you thought of it. I don't like to do negative reviews like this, and I was actually excited to see this movie. But it really was terrible. So, thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll catch you next week with another video. Thanks.